everyone, welcome to this new video where I will present to you 5 new ideas for research projects that you can get yourself involved in or propose to a university where you are interested in doing either a PhD research or a master's or an honors research project. This is part 2 in the series of ideas that I'm proposing to you. You can find the link to part 1 in the description section below. I hope these videos are useful for you and you like them. If yes, please put a comment in the comment section below so I can continue providing these kind of videos for your thoughts. So the first one, and the idea that I want to propose to you is that something that you can approach from the perspective of a law or from the perspective of environment or policy making. Because it is well recognized that combating climate change will require mitigation of new emissions as well as removal of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. You know that carbon or climate change is now a hot topic in the industry. Everywhere there are talks of climate change and what governments or organizations or administrations can do to combat it. So this is a hot topic, something that will get you funding, something that will evoke the interest of the universities in agreeing to your project. Now remember, although you can talk about mitigating new emissions and removal of carbon dioxide, there is a risk. The promoting carbon removal priorities may prompt some nations to delay stronger mitigation efforts. So here you can explore how the Paris Agreement or any other treaties which include the Convention of Biological Diversity or the Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, and the London Protocol can and should work to promote policy goals. The Paris Agreement recognizes the importance of developing carbon sinks but does not establish any specific rules regarding the relative roles of emission reduction and carbon sequestration. So here you can approach this topic from the perspective of the law or policies that can support the implementation, support the acceptance of these conventions or these laws in a more wider context. You can approach it from the context of a particular country, a particular nation, a particular organization, a particular which is struggling or which is not readily accepting the changes that are being proposed to address climate change. The next topic is going to talk about leadership, but not leadership, but leadership in extreme environments. Now, numerous research projects available in the topic of leadership. If you are interested in the topic of management or leadership, then you have to propose it in a distinguished manner where your project stands out from the rest of the research, either which has been conducted in the past or which is being recently proposed. Because leadership, as you know, is a widely recognized as a key factor in the cohesion and effectiveness of teams and organizations. Good leadership will unlock individual and team potential, encourage thriving, and facilitate the achievement of desired results. And on the same time, bad leadership can have catastrophic consequences. Now, given the profound effect leaders can have, it is important to understand and enable good leadership, especially in high risk, high dependency, extreme workplaces, such as the picture that you see is Antarctica stations and expeditions. And yet within leadership literature, there has been very scarce literature or scarce attention that has been paid to the development and practice of good leadership in such environments. This is how you distinguish your proposal from the other proposals in the same area. Now, it is the perfect time to study leadership in an Antarctic context, especially because you need to understand what it takes to select and develop good leadership in extreme places. From a virtue ethics perspective, you can approach this project where good leadership is leadership that is effective, ethical, and inherently sustainable. Good leadership will also keep people and places safe, enable thriving. Practicing good leadership is especially important for individuals tasked with leading in extreme places such as Antarctic stations and expeditions, which are located in remote areas away from the rest of the society. So in this project, you can focus on station or expedition leadership, and you can adjust it depending on the background and the research foci of the your own individual experience as to how you want to approach it. But this is how you distinguish your project from the rest of the projects in this area. The next topic, I'm approaching it more from a marketing perspective or the role of consumer perspective, where we focus on identifying business and consumer level resources and capabilities to support zero waste practices. So almost 25,000 tons of food waste is generated yearly by catering businesses alone in a country like Australia or America. And this includes wet waste food, dry waste. It includes non-biodegradable materials such as plastic cans, all this that comes out of restaurants, cafes, and food service outlets. Now, resource-constrained small and medium-sized businesses are struggling to develop capabilities that give them a competitive advantage while simultaneously trying to implement environmentally focused measures such as zero waste operation. This is where your input as a research will come in handy. If you propose a project like this, you will see that you will get funding from lots of industries which are struggling to deal with this issue because the consumer has been overlooked as a resource to facilitate businesses to move towards environmentally sustainable practices. So if you propose this project from the role of the consumer and you say that you are trying to identify business and consumer level resources and capabilities to support zero waste practices, this will generate interest. All right, so as a candidate, you can think about getting insights from the literature to develop a theoretical framework for considering the consumer's role in helping businesses transform waste into a resource in zero waste supply chain. Now, recently in Melbourne, there was this massive power outage because of which a lot of industries had to throw away their food. And throwing away food is always hurtful to the businesses. It costs them a lot of money, especially if they can't even donate it. So if you can use insights from this project to identify the resources, capabilities, and pathways that are key to the development and implementation of waste elimination, even if it is within a context of your own state or your city, uh, businesses will learn lessons from it, and it will help them to grapple with the challenges that they are getting faced with, and it will get you funding from the industry as well, and a lot of interest in your project will be generated for sure. The next one is more looking at it from a supply chain perspective or a logistic perspective or a renewable energy perspective, depending on which is your area of interest. Because clean hydrogen has been recognized as a key enabler of the global energy transition to meet the goal of decarbonization. It can be used as an alternative fuel of transport, help to decarbonize building heat and power, and it can also be used as a clean feedstock for energy. Now, green hydrogen is being produced by electrolysis powered by renewable energy such as offshore wind. There are significant offshore and wind projects planned or under development to meet the 2050 net zero target. Now, many countries have proposed hydrogen projects. Among them, some could utilize their existing offshore wind to produce green hydrogen, while others, such as Australia, is starting to develop offshore wind to support green hydrogen production to meet demand, in addition to decarbonizing the nation. Now, you can investigate whether producing hydrogen offshore with wind farms is viable from a supply chain perspective. Because integration of offshore wind and hydrogen production can be taken place onshore, while there is a potential to be offshore through co-location, such as offshore wind farms, becoming the future hydrogen production hub. Now, when you start providing benefits to such projects, then a lot of interest is generated, especially from industries that are looking into sustainable environment practices which can help with the energy crisis that the countries are facing with. All right, so although the concept is proved as a technology innovation, you can look at it from a complex hydrogen supply chain issue, challenges that are involved in it. You can look at it from a technical perspective, economic perspective, environmental perspective, or even logistical perspective. It is completely your choice as a candidate and the area that you are comfortable with, so that you can propose this project to your university and generate interest regarding it. Remember that the whole idea about your projects being accepted is for you to be able to distinguish it and also to be making it relevant, that the university should also know that your project will get a lot of interest from funding authorities, funding bodies. The industry will be looking forward to knowing more about your research, and that is how you can contribute. From your own perspective, you have to remember that after you finish a PhD, you have to find a job. So if your research is in areas which is in demand, and of course your interest has to be there. You can't just go into a high demand area if you don't have any interest in it. So you have to combine both the ideas together and make sure that it is a viable option for yourself, but also something that the university can then support. The final research project I want to suggest to you guys is more from a community or a social science perspective, and this is regarding young children who are sometimes out of care home. I'll explain what it is, and they are being absent from schooling, and they're not going to schools. And what proposals, what policies, what practices you can propose to the community or to the community welfare industry or the community practices which will support the schooling of young children who are out of home care. Now, out of home care is a system that provides formal care to children and young people who are assessed as unable to live safely at their own home. So maybe they have abusive parents or they have parents who are drug addicts, and they are putting the lives of the children in danger. They are put in out of home care, especially in the developed countries. There are acts which provides frameworks and mandates for the government and non-government services, community members and families to respond to such situations. So you can approach this project from the perspective of critiquing the act or revising the act or suggesting improvements for the act, or to see how this act can actually help in increasing the schooling of children, in the education of children. So especially because where the child service or child safety acts will assess that a child or young person is at risk in their home, they will seek a court order for a short-term care or a long-term care. Now, when they are in short-term or long-term care, of course, the children are a bit disturbed and they get away from the education. They are not going to schools because their custody, their guardianship is getting affected. But if you can approach this huge issue which affects the education of the next generation, and you can address and come up with some practical solutions, trust me that this project will generate a lot of interest, because any projects that gets the community involved, that can generate the interest of the community, and this is especially in the cases of developed countries where there are provisions provided for out of home care for young children, you will get a lot of interest for your project. So these are some of the ideas that you can use, or you can use sub ideas from this and think of your own. You can base these ideas in your own industry or your own country, your own state, your city. You can compare case studies. You can do lots with these ideas. So if you think these videos are useful, please let me know in the comment section below, and I will keep making videos on these ideas. I will try to get ideas from my peers, from my colleagues, from academics that I know who are working on these different projects, because this is not within my area of expertise. Not all of these are. So I have to go and talk to academics and see what they are working on. And once I get these ideas from them, I'll propose it to you. And if you find any of these ideas useful, then you can use them for your own research projects. Thank you for watching today's video, guys. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you soon with my next video. Bye for now.